Hello, this video is about GCFs and rainbow factoring. Our essential question is, how do we factor a polynomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c using rainbow method? And we're going to jump right into our examples. So we want to factor 5x squared plus 27x minus 18 completely. So the first thing we're always going to do is we're going to look to see if we have a GCF, a greatest common factor. Do all of the terms have the same number to be divided by? And the answer is no. So I can skip step 1 and go on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be that I'm going to rainbow the first number, or the first coefficient, by the last number. So we're going to rainbow the 5 over here to the negative 18. Now, what that means is I'm going to multiply 5 times negative 18, and then I'm just going to move the 5 back there. Now, we are assuming that our polynomial is in descending order. It must be in descending order first, and usually that's the case. So we're going to multiply 5 times negative 18, and when we do that, we're going to rewrite our polynomial as x squared plus 27x minus 90. Now, once I've done this, my next step is to factor as usual. What that means is find our factor pairs. So we've got x times x for x squared. For 90, we're going to list all our factor pairs. We have 1 times 90, 2 times 45, 3 times 30. Does 4 go in there? 4 does not go in there. 5 times 18. 6 goes in there 15 times, 7 does not, 8 does not, 9 goes in there 10 times. So these are our factor pairs. And now we're going to find the pair that's going to subtract to give us 27. And the pair that we have is 3 and 30. So we're going to take and go ahead and factor this using the 3 and the 30. So we've got x times x, we've got 3 times 30, and because we're subtracting, remember subtraction means that you're going to have one positive and one negative sign, or one plus and one minus sign. We need a positive 27, so our larger number is going to take the plus sign, and our smaller one will take the minus sign. And now that I have factored as usual, my next step, my last step, is to take and unrainbow. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, because when we rainbowed, we multiplied, to unrainbow, we're going to divide. And we're going to divide our factors by the 5 that we multiplied by. So we're going to come back over here to the 3. We're going to divide by 5, reduce it if possible down to its lowest terms. You'll notice that 30 divided by 5 becomes 6, so we just go ahead and write that down. 3 divided by 5, if we reduce that, it's still 3/5. Because it does not become a whole number, we're going to take the denominator now and we're going to move it directly in front of the x term in our factor. So it's going to become 5x minus 3. And this is our final answer. This is, if we were to multiply this back out, we would get our original problem. Go ahead and pause, finish copying this example down, and we'll move on to the second one. Okay, second example. This time we are factoring 30x squared minus 35x plus 10 completely. And we're going to follow the same steps we did before, which step 1 says to factor out your GCF if you have one. So we want to look at our terms. We want to see if they all have something in common. You'll notice that they all end in 0 or 5, which means they're all divisible by 5. So we're going to go ahead and factor out a 5. 30x squared divided by 5 is 6x squared. 35x divided by 5 is 7x. And this was a minus 35x, so it'll be a minus 7x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I've factored completely, or I've factored out the GCF. Now I'm going to continue to the next step, which is to rainbow the 6 over to the 2. So step 2, we're going to rainbow the number on the x squared over to the last term. So the 6 is going to be multiplied by the 2. It's always the number that's directly in front of the x squared that you are rainbowing. If you have a GCF, it just stays outside the parentheses and comes along for the ride each time. So 6 times 2 is going to give me that 12 as my last term. I have x squared at the beginning minus 7x. So 6 has made its little rainbow trip over to the 2. Alright, step 3, now factor as usual. So determine your factor pairs. Factor pairs for x squared are x and x. Factor pairs for 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And we need the pair that's going to add to equal 7. So we're going to use the 3 and the 4. Now we continue factoring. We have x and x as our first terms. We have 3 and 4 as our last terms. Because we're adding, addition means that you are either using positive as your signs or negative as your signs. Since we need a negative 7, we need 2 negatives to achieve that goal. So now that I have all of those numbers in place, I have factored it, but because we rainbowed at the beginning, we need to unrainbow at the end. Or go back and divide by the number that we multiplied by. So we're going to divide each factor by the 6 that we multiplied by at the beginning. So we come over here to the 3, we divide it by the 6, we divide the 4 by the 6, and again, I need to stress to you, you must reduce the fraction first before you do anything else. If you do not, you will end up with terms in front of the x which will be way too big that if you were to multiply it back out, it would give you a number much bigger than the initial one that you started with. So you must reduce the fraction first. So 3 over 6 reduces to 1/2. 4 over 6 reduces to 2/3. Now that I've reduced it, now I can take the bottom number and move it in front of the x. So I'm going to take my denominator and move it in front of the x so that I've finalized my factoring. So I have 5, don't forget the 5 that we took out at the beginning, or GCF, times 2x minus 1 times 3x minus 2. So notice that your last number in each set is your numerator of your fraction that you reduced. So our final answer, 5 times 2x minus 1 times 3x minus 2. Alright, that's it on rainbow factoring. There is a second video about special factoring, which you may watch as well. It will help you with the other examples. Have a good day.